TwoSun Tuesday coming at you. We got another RattleSnake this week. This is the TS202-LM. I guess that stands for Linen Micarta. As you can see with this is actually a better quality micarta than they've used on quite a bit of their stuff. This one came out much later on, or was produced much later on than the 201 that we took a look at last week. This little guy with the blue and the carbon fiber on there. And this micarta is definitely a good step up. It's not fantastic micarta. It's not the absolute best in the industry, but it's definitely better than what they've been using in the past. This guy also does have that deep carry pocket clip. And we have a very downward canted flipper tab here. Very, very prominent, with a single jump on there. Almost kind of looks like a dog bone sticking out the end. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, we also have jimping up here on the top. Kerchunk. And we can see that this thing has an aggressive recurve. This is pretty close to a hawkbill style blade. We have, I guess, maybe a little bit of it there that has a harpoonish kind of thing there. And check out this sharpening choil down here. It's interesting for sure. And it looks like they literally just took a drill press with a circle bit and just, and hey, it works. You know, it's not really anywhere near the plunge grind, so that's fantastic on it. But yeah, this guy has a fairly prominent recurve on there. That makes it very difficult, or not really super easy to do on the clamp-based systems like a KME or the Worksharp Precision Edge or something like that. The KME or the Lansky kind of clamp-based system things do have very specific stones that you can buy that are rounded or triangle on the end there that do a little bit better job at that. But yeah, most people probably aren't going to have those unless this is really a very, very popular and numerous blade style that they have in their collection. So there's particularly that. But yeah, this guy's got a flipper tab, but it's also got this thing out here, which makes it super easy to do the old Spidey flick. And well, I haven't really tried to flick it with the thumb. Yeah, I suppose that works all right, but it's not my favorite. But you can also, yeah, just kind of put your foot in, or your foot. Yeah, that's a foot. Put your thumb in there and rotate it open. It does have the channels there, like it looks like it originally was intended to have kind of these weird thumb stud sort of things there, but it never came with them. So I don't know, unless they particularly had a different version, like they had an upgraded one in titanium or something like that maybe did. I don't know. But yeah, this guy's got quite a nice detent on it. It still does have a fairly large cutout here. It's a little bit more comfortable than the one that I was complaining about a little bit last week. However, this handle for me, they did basically really do their best to get the absolute most out of the blade to handle ratio there, and you can't get to the blade there, so that's definitely good. And I mean, if you very, very, very hard tried, you might be able to get something in there to cut yourself on the very, very end there, but you have to purposefully do that, and it's not something that's going to happen by accident. But because of that, and the fact that this does have a pretty aggressive curve or beak at the end of the handle there, it's actually fairly crampy for my hands. In general, it's a little bit more comfortable if I kind of relax my grip and use it a little bit more as a three-finger sort of knife rather than a four-finger. Now, I can do that, but my fingers are rather cramped in there. So, you know, it might be all right if you're just trying to force through, you know, gorilla grip, hammer style sort of thing. But for the saber grip, this handle is actually just a little bit too small for me, which is kind of unfortunate. We don't really have any kind of a knurling or carve out or anything like that on the liner there. It's comfortable enough to close, absolutely no problems doing so. And you can see that the action on this thing is quite nice. Not, you know, super incredibly drop shutty, but definitely wiggle shut. On the back here, this is not micarta. It's a piece of G10. It makes a lot more sense. It's much easier to make a backspacer out of G10, and they do have a little bit more rigidity than a lot of micarta does. And yeah, let's see. I can go ahead and do some size comparisons. There we go with the Benchmade 940 and the Paramilitary 2. Word. And the Rad number 1. And the K-Bar Dozer, which, yeah, it's obviously going to be larger than that. So yeah, it's still a fairly large knife, but doesn't really have a handle size that ends up matching that. As you can see, we're just a little bit shy of the 3.5 inch mark here. But because you got that recurve on there, it's actually a little bit more blade length than that if you were to, you know, kind of straighten it out a bit. And of course you have that hawkbill sort of shape to it. So if you are prone to having your knife slip out of cuts or something like that, due to having kind of an upswept belly or something like that, this very much takes care of that. And also keeps the point of the blade kind of down, usually a little bit at or below where the pivot of the blade is. So that really helps specifically with opening up boxes and stuff like that. And kind of what they were originally designed for a lot, at least for outdoor use, is for cutting rope and stuff like that. A lot of mariners will end up using that. Let's see if I can't find an example of what I'm talking about somewhere in here. There we are. Yeah, but those would be like, you know, the Spyderco Harpy or Matriarch or Civilian or something like that, where they're serrated, and that's really helpful for at arm's length looping around some rope and having the friction of the serrations to hold onto it so you can cut rope at length rather than bringing it right into you. But, you know, some gardeners and whatnot will use some kind of hawkbills. Usually they're a little bit smaller if they're like a mushroom knife, and they'll usually have a little boar's hair bristle brush on the other end of it or something like that. They're strange tools, but you know, I guess if you're a mycologist, then that's definitely something useful for you. But yeah, they're also quite vicious if you're going to do something like a snap cut, where you kind of, you know, flick your wrist and you're squeezing in with your pinky or something like that. It will do quite a bit of damage, as, you know, cold steel videos have shown over the past, I don't know, decade or two. Pretty darn effective. So these things are also pretty good at some sort of self-defense sort of things. And in that particular way, in this reverse grip, the flipper tab might be just a little annoying on my pinky, but otherwise it's really locked in there. And so, you know, you can certainly use it for that if you have the skills for it. I don't really have much of the skills outside how to hold them, so that's not necessarily for me. But if you are much more knowledgeable in that area, then you probably already understand that. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look on the inside of this guy too, huh? Since I was a very young kid, my favorite thing to do was take things apart. I didn't do anything super crazy, like take apart a vacuum cleaner or something like that while my parents were away. But I'm definitely taking apart electronics and things of that nature. And so that certainly does kind of fold over into this hobby a little bit. So yeah, we have, I guess, a cute little piece of skeletonization going on the lock side here. And we do have some small holes kind of punched in here to take the weight down just a little tiny bit. They could have probably done a much more aggressive sort of thing on there, and that would have been all right. I actually would like to have seen this with nested liners like the previous one, but I guess they would probably also have to make this micarta thicker, and as you can see with the milling and everything, it was already fairly thick to begin with, so I could understand why they have not. Of course, we got the ceramic bearings in there. And we have a stop pin that's pretty darn close to the top there, but I don't really have any problems with warping or anything like that. And besides, even if I did, we do have a G10 backspacer here, not steel barrels or anything like that. So you won't really have any problems if blade wrap were to happen. It would just kind of cut into that a little bit. As you can see, though, this one is a little bit newer design in that it does have a D-shaped pivot. Which is always kind of fun. It's very much appreciated for disassembly and everything of a knife if it does have that on there. But you always need to make sure that it's facing exactly where it needs to be, as pretty much all of TwoSun's don't do a D-shaped pivot on both sides. So it's only keyed on one liner. And that is almost always the lock side, which is generally why I like to kind of end with that. Just makes it a little bit easier for lining things up and whatnot. But yeah, I really want to like this knife a little bit more. The only things that are really keeping me back from it, unfortunately, is just the size of the handle. And it was part of the design, obviously, that they were trying to maximize the blade to handle ratio on there. But in doing so, it actually made the handle just a little bit too small for me to want to carry all the time. But it's still fun to flip open every now and then. And, you know, if I'm doing something like a pinch grip or, you know, the crazy full hammer grip sort of thing, then it works great. So, you know, it's not something that I carry around often, but I do enjoy using it. So that's definitely cool. This one is a little bit of a thick boy because of the contouring of the handle and everything. But since I'm on millimeters, I'll go ahead and do the blade stock thickness, which we got 3.7. So not super bad. Alright, and yeah, we basically have just a little over 0.63 of an inch for handle thickness on there. So that is going to be quite a bit thicker than your standard PM2. That's just a smidge over ½ inch. But because of that, you do get yourself afforded some very nice contours. And if this knife handle actually fits your hands perfectly, then the contours on these are actually really comfortable. You just end up with some scrunched up hands if you have, you know, the wide finger syndrome sort of thing going on there. But yeah, this one is, I do really appreciate this particular model, as it's kind of one of the first ones out there that was using this kind of better quality micarta. I've also seen that now on the TS301, which I haven't done a full review of, but it has been on my channel a couple of times at this point. And those are around the only two places that I've seen it so far, but I would like to see them use it on some more stuff coming up. It would make me happy because it's, I don't know, it just feels a lot better in the hand. The thread count, I guess, is higher, so it feels a lot more like an actual linen micarta rather than kind of the stuff made out of a burlap sack that they use in a lot of their other stuff that I'm not a huge fan of. But yeah, that is the TS202-LM. So if you got normal size hands and you like yourself a hawkbill, this one's really hard to go wrong with. It's got 14C28N steel, if I hadn't mentioned that before. That's kind of their budget to mid-grades sort of things there. So you can get these things, if they're actually available somewhere, they're not very expensive. So yeah, if you got a hand shape that will fit these guys, then it's pretty hard to go wrong with it. So, all right, that's basically everything that I had up inside my noodle about this particular model, so I'll go ahead and end it here. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo.